The crowd was roaring, engines thundered through the air, and the smell of burning rubber filled the racetrack. Amid the noise and flashing cameras, no one noticed the woman standing quietly near the pit lane, dressed in worn jeans and an old jacket. She didn't fit in with the flashy cars or the high-profile racers. Some people stared, others smirked. A few even laughed. To them, she was out of place, just a simple woman with no business being near the high-stakes world of motor racing. But what they didn't know was that she had come with a purpose. Her name was Aisha, and this wasn't her first time at a racetrack. Years ago, she'd watched someone she loved lose everything because of a system that favored money, status, and dirty politics over real talent. She had spent years away from the sport, quietly learning, observing, and planning. And now, she was back not to race, but to challenge everything the sport stood for. From the moment she stepped into the paddock, the whispers began. Mechanics dismissed her. Sponsors ignored her. Even the racers joked behind her back. She doesn't even own a car, someone said. Another laughed. She probably doesn't know where the ignition is. But Aisha didn't flinch. She wasn't here to prove them wrong with words. She was here to change the game on her own terms. As the first qualifying round began, something unexpected happened. One of the top racers lost control. A sudden, mechanical failure. Panic spread. But before the officials could act, Aisha stepped forward, and what she did next silenced the entire arena. The rules of the track were about to be rewritten, and no one saw it coming. So what did she do? And how did a woman everyone doubted become the name on everyone's lips? Keep watching to find out. Years before Aisha stood on that track, she was known for something entirely different. Not fame, not speed, but skill. Quietly, behind the scenes, she had been one of the top designers for a small racing team no one paid attention to. She built engines with her bare hands, fine-tuned suspensions until they sang, and dreamed of creating the perfect machine. But dreams like hers didn't survive long in a world where powerful sponsors and big names controlled everything. Her team was pushed out, funding was cut, and the driver she had trained side by side with walked away, injured and forgotten after a controversial crash that no one bothered to investigate. That day, Aisha left the racing world heartbroken, angry, and determined. What the crowd didn't know was that while they laughed at her clothes and ignored her presence, she had quietly been working on something revolutionary in her garage. A system that didn't rely on flashy upgrades or billionaire budgets, but on raw engineering and precise skill. She'd built a car, yes, from scratch with parts no one expected, and a system that made performance smarter, safer, and faster. But she never showed it, not until now. When the top racer's car skidded off track that day, people expected chaos. But Aisha's calm voice cut through the noise as she stepped in. With only a wrench in her hand, she moved with the confidence of someone who had done this 1,000 times. People stared. "Who is she?" murmured one of the crew members. "How does she know what to do?" The truth was, Aisha knew more than most of them combined. But she wasn't there for applause. She was there to expose the cracks in their system, cracks she had seen ruin lives before. And this time, she wasn't walking away. As Aisha knelt beside the stalled race car, her hands moved fast, too fast for someone not supposed to be there. Within minutes, she spotted the issue: a faulty sensor connected to the fuel mix. It was a small part, overlooked in most checks, but critical at top speed. She flagged the officials, but they hesitated. Who was this woman, really? No team badge, no uniform. Just calm eyes and grease-stained fingers. But when the pit crew confirmed her diagnosis, the atmosphere shifted. A few heads turned. Some began whispering. One of the senior officials narrowed his eyes. He remembered her now. The woman from that closed case years ago, the one who asked too many questions. Back then, she was dismissed as just a mechanic, with too much passion and not enough clout. But she hadn't forgotten. She'd kept the data from that crash, every report, every overlooked detail. It wasn't just about broken engines. It was about broken trust. And now, standing in the same arena that once ignored her, she saw a chance to force the truth into the open. Meanwhile, across the paddock, a young driver named Raffi watched her closely. He'd grown up hearing whispers about the ghost builder, the woman who almost changed everything. Now he saw her in real life, and something stirred inside him. His own team had been warning him to stay quiet, to follow instructions without asking too much. But Aisha's presence challenged that. Maybe the track didn't belong only to the rich and powerful. Back in the control room, sponsor representatives and race organizers were starting to worry. If Aisha kept getting attention, questions would follow questions about race safety, favoritism, and ignored voices. She hadn't even shown her car yet, but when she did, they feared she wouldn't just race. She'd expose the game entirely, and they weren't ready for that. The tension at the racetrack grew thicker by the minute. Rumors were spreading fast. People were now saying the woman in the old jacket had built a car that could outpace the best. Some laughed it off, calling it impossible. Others weren't so sure anymore, especially after the way she fixed the lead driver's car faster than his own team. Whispers followed her every step. Camera crews started hovering, and veteran reporters began digging into her past. But Aisha kept her head down, moving through the chaos with quiet purpose. The organizers, sensing trouble, tried to block her. They claimed she didn't register, that she wasn't part of any official team. But when she calmly handed over her paperwork legit, verified, and filed under an independent entry, they had no choice but to let her through. That's when they saw it. Her car, it wasn't flashy. No big logos or shiny paint job. Just a lean machine, built for function, not fame. But beneath its plain surface was something different, technology they couldn't quite understand, and performance data that left the experts speechless. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Could she actually win? Raffi, watching from the sidelines, made a bold choice. He walked across the pit lane and stood beside her car. "If you drive," he said quietly, "I want to be on that track too. Not for them, for the sport. The way it's supposed to be." He wasn't the only one, too. More drivers began asking questions. Some were curious, others were scared. The foundation of the racing world was shaking, and Aisha was at the center of it. With minutes left before the final qualifying round, the officials made one last attempt to stop her. A sudden rule change, a required inspection, delays, but she stayed calm, her eyes locked on the track. She wasn't here to ask for a chance anymore. She was here to take it. And the entire arena waited, breath held, to see what would happen when she finally took the wheel. Just as Aisha was about to roll her car onto the track, a voice crackled over the loudspeaker. "Attention, due to last-minute technical irregularities. Entry 47 is under immediate review. This vehicle may not proceed to qualifying." Gasps echoed through the stands. Entry 47, her car. Aisha froze for half a second, then looked up sharply. She had expected resistance, but not this move. Technical irregularities was code for sabotage, and she knew it. Someone behind the scenes was pulling strings, trying to keep her out no matter what it took. But it wasn't just about her anymore. The crowd was watching. The drivers were watching. And now, the whole system was under a microscope as she pushed her car back into the inspection zone. Something strange caught her familiar face in the crowd. It was the former chief engineer from the team that had silenced her all those years ago. The same man who had buried the crash data, protected the sponsors, and let her reputation burn. He wasn't here to race. He wasn't here to watch. He was standing near the officials, whispering into the ear of a race director. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just about one race. This was about keeping certain truths hidden. Her car didn't just represent competition it threatened. To expose safety failures, outdated regulations, and backdoor deals that had protected the elite for years. Meanwhile, in the driver's lounge, Rafi overheard a conversation between two top racers. They were planning to box Aisha in on the track, trap her between turns, and force her into a time penalty. It wasn't illegal, but it was dirty and old trick used when someone unwanted rose too fast. Rafi knew then, this wasn't just resistance. It was war, and as Aisha stood beside her car, engine off, crowd buzzing, and the sky turning dark above the track, she had one decision left: to make play by the old rules or break them entirely. The moment of truth was seconds away. Aisha didn't flinch. She looked the race director straight in the eye, then calmly opened her toolkit. Under the gaze of dozens of cameras, she invited the officials to inspect every inch of her car live. In front of everyone, her confidence was unshakable. One by one, they checked her engine, suspension, telemetry system. Everything was clean. Legal, smarter than expected, but within regulations. The delay tactic had failed, and now the spotlight had turned back on them. With seconds to spare, she rolled onto the track. From the moment the race began, the pressure was on. The two lead racers did exactly what Rafi had overheard. They tried to box her in, cutting her line off through the early corners. But Aisha didn't fight them with B.